Welcome back to the Four Podmen, the wrestling podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Of course, audio versions of the show are available through Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Wherever you pick up your audio tunes, you will find us there. Just search Dynamo Podcast Network. Have a look for the Four Podmen. You'll get us there. All these great shows that we're dropping. Joining me today, the podfather of the network, slightly different screen, but not too bad at all. How are we doing, Ian?
I'm all good, my man.
Good,
got my tweed cap on here that I got down in the west.
Nice.
A modern slant on a grandad hat.
You look like a proper fisherman or something like that.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Also joining us from Retrotainment and Retrotainment Recast, Ted, and you can tell by the background what we're going to be talking about. How are we doing, Ted?
Not too bad, not too bad. How are you doing, lads?
Good, yeah, not a bother. Well, this is your AEW Rampage reaction show. Of course, most viewers at this stage would know, I don't think this is a spoiler, that the Second City Saints showed up last night, knocked it out of the park. Some interesting comments that he made, and we're going to have a chat about that. Ian, you start. Let us know what you think.
Well, it was actually funny because I was watching it on Fight TV, and there was obviously a countdown to it. And I was watching, like, I don't know what I was watching in the build-up, just trying to fill the time. I think I was watching Sasquatch videos or something. And I literally went to go to the toilet and get a drink, and I was like, grand, it'll be on in 10 seconds. And as I was coming back out, I could hear from the distance, when I heard the fans chanting CM Punk, I went, holy shit, that's a mad chant. They're going at it right away. So as soon as I heard the music, I went, what? Like, really? This early? Like, I mean, I have to say it was 10 out of 10 to Tony Khan and the writing team. They done the right thing, I think, in hindsight, just starting the show off with it. You know what I mean? A lot of people like ourselves were expecting some sort of run-in or something mad. But, my God, I don't think I've heard a pop. I don't think there's been a louder pop in the last 30 years. Do you know what I mean? It was just absolutely insane. Like, if there's ever been one, you couldn't even hear Cult of Personality over it. It's crazy. So it was great, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting dynamic the way they did it, really, wasn't it? Like, just straight off the bat out, like, no bells or whistles. This guy's going to go out, he's going to cut a promo, he's going to tell you why he's here, he's going to tell you what he intends to do, and then he's going to blow off and leave you waiting for, I think, September 5th or 9th, I think it is, for All Out. Ted, thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is it's the sort of thing that you would expect them to leave to the end of the show, end the show with the big high note, but I don't think they could. I think had Punk not been the first thing out, the rest of the show would have just been drowned out with chants for him. So you had to send him out first. And you could see how emotional he was. Because he came out, did the normal pose of down on the knees as his music starts, and he stays on his knees for ages. He just can't seem to bring himself to get up. And when he finally does, like, his reaction is guttural as well. Like, he is absolutely buzzing to be back.
I love the stage dive as well. That was deadly.
Yeah, into the crowd, yeah. And then you could see him when he wanted to get back out. None of them wanted to let go of him, and he was kind of like, lads, like, yeah, I need to get back in. Let me over the barricade here. And he hopped the barricade fairly easy, so he hasn't lost a step anyway. I can, you can give him that. At least he stayed in.
He looked great, I have to say. He looked very trim. Like, he still has a set of arms on him, but he looks trim. Do you know what I mean? He looked fresh. He looked fresh.
Well, he looked a bit aged, but that's, I suppose, the ravages of time on everybody, really.
I don't think he looks that bad, though, age-wise. I mean, yeah, there's a bit more grey in the beard, but, I mean, Jesus Christ, still a full head of hair. There's not many wrinkles. He looks a lot less tired than he did 7 years ago, I'll tell you.
He looked less tired, definitely, but...
I was talking to Darren this morning about it, Darren, who was on our SummerSlam preview and stuff like that, and he was saying that
Darren sent me a load of private little videos.
Yeah, he was there. He did some real good ones, didn't he? They're really cool. Like, but he was saying to me that he thinks he does look a bit aged, but he thinks he'll put on a bit of size now, and he might fill out and not look as aged.
Yeah,
that was Darren's sort of call on it, which I thought was a really good shout,
Well, that's more. He's on the road, like, traveling. You know what I mean? There won't be much travel involved, but I mean, he'll have a lot more time to kind of train and stuff like that. No, I thought he looked great. I think what I was really, really impressed with, and obviously probably shooting too far ahead here, but I think what he says is true. He's come back because he obviously needed to feel that love again. Do you know what I mean? And I think you're talking about a lad who genuinely loves the art of pro wrestling. We'll get to the promos and all in a sec, but I was really impressed with that. He's back on a full-time schedule. We saw in the conference afterwards, he's on a multi-year deal, and it's not going to be a Brock Lesnar here or there, appearances. He's back, so it's been done the right way.
Yeah, I think with AEW, it's such a light schedule anyway, you know what I mean? So, you'd have to be coming back to be full-time. If you're not coming back to be full-time, what are you going to do? Appear twice or three times a year? I mean, that's not going to wash really with the fans if you're saying you're back, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, exactly.
And definitely not with someone like Punk, who's, one of his big gripes was, I'm sick of all these part-timers coming in and taking the spots from the younger lads who are working every week. Imagine him coming in and be like,
being that
just gonna do 3-4 shows a year as they do pay-per-views, lads. Grand, kick back for the rest of it.
Can I just say shout out to my old pal Tony Khan, who I keep telling people I have on speed dial. He did you see the press conference after with just him and Punk? Yeah.
No, I didn't watch it after. No.
You should go and check it out. Never have you seen a lad smile as much. He's just sitting there going.
Yeah, well, I suppose when that much money has just been filtered into your pockets, you're going to have a big old shit-eating grin on you, yeah? Absolutely,
yeah. It was brilliant. But no, I have to say it was... the pop was unbelievable, and I suppose getting into promos as well. I mean, he hasn't lost a step in terms of being able to talk and get the ovation from the crowd. It was pretty great. And I suppose when you look, that new shirt looks amazing. So Niall's definitely smiling as well. I can't see Niall from my side here now because I'm on the phone, but I bet he's got a big old grin from ear to ear.
He's got the dollars dropping.
That is a shirt that put Niall's kids through college 7 years ago.
It's very similar to the old shirt.
Yeah. It's beautiful though. It's very fresh.
It's beautiful. Like the old shirt was brilliant, so there was no need to deviate from it really.
Exactly.
That's the thing. And that's it. You have a winner, so why would you go and make something completely new? Just change it up a little bit, jazz it up to what you need it to be now, and go ahead.
Not only the shirt, but slightly jumping ahead, the beauty of the ice cream bars as well was kind of a kicker, wasn't it? It was really cool.
Did you hear the story behind that? He actually said it on that press conference.
Oh yeah, they actually all got one as they left.
Yeah.
He paid out of his own pocket for that. He organised that. They asked him and Tony Khan, and he said it was kind of a thing that one of the old baseball players or something won the Chicago Cubs a trophy, and when he was leaving to the next city, he apparently he paid the bar tabs for 4 or 5 bars around the area just to say thanks to the fans. And he said it was kind of just something he said he used to do at Comic-Cons where he'd buy everyone, CM Punk himself would buy everyone pizzas and beers and stuff like that. So he said it was just something they wanted to do. So it was a pretty cool idea.
It's a deadly gesture. I don't know, did you lads see the jacket that's now been released? I don't know if it's an official thing. I just seen an image of it online there. It looks fucking beautiful. Now it's not something I'll ever get because I'd never wear it, and it probably costs a bomb, but it looks fucking gorgeous.
I just love the way they throw back to the ice cream bars. I remember his old shirt in WWE, and that spin he used to do. One day I'll have my own ice cream bar.
That
was pretty cool.
It was a great way to leave that promo, wasn't it?
Yeah. Let's get into the promo itself, Ian. I think he hit all the points he wanted to hit. I think his timing is still impeccable in terms of his promo, in the way that he puts something out there and he lets it kind of manifest, and then he kind of moves on. He lets it go out into the ether of the crowd, kind of thing. What was you thinking on the promo?
Yeah, old school working, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Old school promo working, knowing when to let the crowd soak it in and react, and when the time is right to move on. I mean, starting the line off, can I tell you a story? That's when he got cut off, on the famous pipe bomb, and sitting down then, it was just perfect. Got all the bitterness out on WWE, which was good. I think, look, you can't have him coming back smiling and going, oh, everything's great. Thank you to WWE for everything. I got over it in 7 years. No, I think that line just about, wanting to leave the place that got him sick in the first place was that was a good shot for sure. I thought the promo was great. I think bringing Darby Allin into it, I think yourself and myself said a few months ago that I think that would be a great way for him to start off actually in a feud with Darby Allin and kind of Sting there, just gets him working with one of the younger lads. I mean, you could see Darby Allin trying to play it cool, but I'd say inside he was going, oh my God, So yeah, good start. I think it's probably a good match for someone like Punk to start off on as well, to be fair, before he moves on to bigger fish. But yeah, I thought the promo, like you said, I think he hit all the right notes. He didn't leave anything out. And yeah, I thought it was, as you expect from Punk, it was, he's very articulate in the way he speaks anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I thought he was on the promo. I thought he was very mild. I thought he could have put a lot more out there, but obviously he's saving a bit for as he goes along, I think he hit all the notes that he wanted to hit. I thought, when you see Hogan ripping the shirt and stuff like that, or Warrior shaking the ropes, I thought last night when he unzipped the hoodie to unveil the shirt, I thought it was a heck of a moment. When he just zipped the zip down nice and slow, took the hoodie off to unveil that new best in the world shirt, if you like, you know what I mean? I thought that was
you've already get them in the mail, haven't you?
100%. But I thought it was iconic as well, because it was kind of like an imagery of I'm moving on, but not quite. I know what I'm about. That I wasn't actually that bad back there, but this is just a slightly different version of it in a different sort of arena. But I thought as well, the one thing that kind of slightly disappointed me about is, I thought when he went down onto his ass in the ring, I thought we were going to hell of a lot more. I thought he was going to go, I have a lot to get off my chest like last time. And I thought he was going to absolutely go in, but obviously he wants to hold some of it back, because he did say in it that he's going to be around for a while and he has plenty to say, but he's not going to get it all done tonight, kind of thing, But I thought
shout out to his hoodie as well, Larry, his dog.
Yeah, seen that. Yeah. And he had the badge on it as well, didn't he? Yeah. So it was kind of cool. He wasn't totally branded out. And the thing about the hoodie and wearing it as well is it kind of hid the shirt really well, because we didn't know the shirt was underneath there. So it was pretty cool. Ted, give us some of your thoughts on the promo.
Yeah, I think as Ian said, I think in terms of like cadence, tone, and delivery, he was impeccable, and this is Punk's wheelhouse. When he says something, you listen, and that is the truth. It doesn't matter what he's saying, you're listening to him. I'm a little bit, and like I'm a huge Punk fan, but I'm a little bit on the other side to you two boys here, which I'm a little bit sad about. I think what he said, there was very little actually in it. There was a lot of filler in what he said, and I think maybe you're right now. Maybe he just wants to hold back on a lot of it. And doesn't, like, you don't want to blow your load on the first show, so maybe that's what it was. But I think there was a lot that was just him saying, yeah, I'm back wrestling, and a lot of the promo was just him saying that he was back. I feel there was personally a little bit too much shots at WWE, which I think is something that AEW do a little bit. Like you used to see Cody do it with the throne and stuff like that, and it's not like a direct shot at WWE, but it's just kind of like, maybe just don't acknowledge them so much. Just don't acknowledge.
If Punk didn't, we're talking about a man who hates the company.
I know, yeah.
That took him to court, you know what I mean? So of course he's going to, like, I knew he was going sympathy for WWE. I find funny, because I'm like, why would you find sympathy for those guys? They're slime. Like,
yeah, but it's not sympathy for them. Like, I knew he was going to mention them, right? I get that, but it was the whole, I've the sitting down thing, and even the opening of let me explain something to you people, and that's a throwback to his pipe bomb in WWE, the sitting down, which I think is his iconic pose now at this point, the sitting down cross-legged like that. So he had to do that. But then he obviously references, he was sick of the place that he wrestled in for 7 years, and he felt sick there. And then there was the, I haven't wrestled since 2005 and stuff. There was a lot of shade thrown towards WWE, and it's not that they don't deserve it, but it's just maybe just don't recognize them so much. Like, AEW just need to stop giving WWE so much recognition, I think.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm not saying WWE are slime from my personal standpoint. I'm saying this is what he obviously thinks in his mind. You know what I mean? And so I think more so, I think you're right. I think it's kind of like the boy that cried wolf thing that AEW have done it so many times. Whereas I think this was a personal thing with CM Punk and
Yeah,
WWE that
if it
he
happened-
probably felt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if it probably hadn't happened so much with other people in AEW,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have noticed it. It's just that I've noticed it being a kind of common thread, thread throughout their stuff, where anyone who comes in kind of gives a little bit of a shot, but then they're like, we don't feel we're in competition with WWE, and it's like, well, then why do you keep mentioning them? They're not talking about you. You know,
I think
Cena did, but like Cena is Cena. But
I think we'd all agree though that like out of anyone that you would expect to be taking shots and have grievances with them, it probably would be Punk more so than say Cody or anyone else. So I would agree with you there.
Yeah, like, and as I said, it's just because it's happened so much in the company that I feel it's a little bit much. Like maybe just you know, it is part of Punk's gimmick, so I understand that he's going to do it, but that means you need to tell everyone else to lay off, like leave it to him.
The thing that mostly disappointed me about that section in it was the fact that he dismissed his whole WWE career.
Yeah.
Which apart from, I know all the sickness and all the other stuff that went on and the bureaucracy and the politics and all, but let's be honest here, lads, he had a stellar career in WWE when you think
But
about
I don't think you're getting the message that he was saying there.
No, I do get the message, but yeah, it's just, it was a bit much.
That it's pro wrestling, you know what I mean? That everything, you know, it was the sports entertainment company. I think that was more so the shot that he was taking.
I think that is what he meant, but I think it was just compiled with everything else that he kind of said. Now, there was one little bit that I don't know if you've noticed when he said, I know a lot of you here in the crowd and a lot of boys in the back might have some problems with what I did. There's definitely one person in the back who has major problems with what this man did, and it's one of his old, like someone who was his best friend. So I'm interested if they're going to bring that up at all in Colt Cabana, or if they're just going to steer away from that. I'd imagine they'll steer away from it because there's nothing you can really do with that.
Because the problem is, I think that was more Colt that sold him under the bus as well. Like, and he'd done a lot for Colt, you know what I mean, with the whole trial.
Yeah, the two of them kind of didn't help each other, and it was sad to see. It was sad to see. But in terms of where he went with
hopefully that can be mended though.
Yeah, hopefully it can. Hopefully the fence can be mended because they were best friends before that.
Yeah.
The promo ended kind of with him like, this is who I'm gonna fight in my first match back, and I didn't expect him to get physical here at all, so I was happy enough with that.
Me
and
too.
Darby Allin is the one he's went for. This to me is a little bit strange. I understand where you boys are coming from in that it's a great person for him to wrestle. It's a nice safe match, and you know, someone who's over. But you're going in there with two faces, and I think that the crowd didn't really know how to respond to that, because they're like, we don't want to boo Darby Allin because we like Darby Allin, but we're definitely not booing CM Punk. So, and like the storyline so far is Darby Allin mentioned that he'd be happy to wrestle the best in the world. That's so far the entire story. Now, obviously they'll build on that, so I'm sure that'll be great. But in the moment, I don't think that hit the way they wanted to. And they had Darby and Sting up in, I know Sting's thing used to be up in the rafters. They were in a box, like in like, you know, a premier box for like where, you know, the rich people would sit. I was like, do the two boys just hang around up there? That's not the same as being in the rafters and being shady. Like, that's just like sitting in a nice suite up high up above everyone else. That didn't hit for me. I'll be interested to see where it goes. I'm sure they'll do great with it, but that didn't hit for me.
The only thing I found with that as well, and I thought it was really iconic as well, was Darby's face paint. If you notice, he had the branches on his face.
Yeah.
And I thought that kind of had an underlining meaning, significance to sort of growth and his own pathway and his own growth. And this was another step he was going to take. So I thought that imagery of him there, and you notice they kept on going back and it was pretty close to his face and stuff like that. You could make out all the branch work and stuff like that. I thought that was really, really cool. Like, he looked $1 million. I mean, you got to remember,
he looked great.
You have to remember as well, we're talking about two guys. They're not the biggest guys in the world either. You know what I mean? So, like,
yeah, true.
You know, they have to sort of harness it in a different kind of way. And obviously the significance of Sting there, kind of as the mentor, is kind of a little bit of a throwback as well. But the one thing I noticed about him throughout the promo as well, he did a great job holding it together, because at times I thought he was going to break, because he was very, very, very emotional through the whole thing. Like, this was it was just, it must have been difficult for him. There's no doubt about it.
It was definitely, it was for me, like, I mean, there's probably bigger CM Punk fans out there than me, but for me, like, as a fan of the guy, I'm just a fan of him, you know, as a person all around. I appreciate his work. I like his graft. I like The fact that he has balls. He wasn't afraid to take a chance and, try something like MMA or whatever. But that's all well and good. But I think it was actually a very special moment in terms of for wrestling. Do you know what I mean? It's like, right, here is now. This is AEW are here now. You have the ball. Like, I can only imagine the TV ratings from this.
Oh, this definitely beats SmackDown, I would say.
But you have the ball now. Now is your chance. And like little things that I've seen Tony Khan do over the last kind of couple of months have been very impressive. They're good. They're starting to grow in the right way. They're trending in the right way, so to speak. And I think it was an iconic moment that, right, WWE really does now have competition. Because, I mean, Jericho went in initially. He was the star name. Cody was there. But they kind of been building and, bringing lads back who were kind of, I suppose, mid-carders or, NXT level guys, which isn't a knock at all. NXT level isn't a bad thing. But not stars is the point I'm making. You know what I mean? Not like worldwide household names.
Yeah.
Well, like, let's talk about like the hottest property in professional wrestling.
The hottest free agent probably of all time, let's be fair.
He has been for 7 years. The hottest free agent for the last 7 years has been him. No matter where he went, honestly, it wouldn't have mattered what promotion said he's going to show up on our show tonight. People were going to watch. You would get ratings, and it didn't matter who you were going to get those ratings.
Yeah.
So this is a huge get for them. They obviously
really
don't want to throw him straight into the title picture, which is what I was unsure, would they do it? And if they did, he can't lose to Omega if they did. So I like kind of where they're going here. Presumably he's going to beat Darby Allin. I can't see Darby Allin getting the best of him here. And it's not gonna hurt a guy like Darby Allin to lose to CM Punk, is it?
No.
Do you know what I was thinking after the fact? Ian, Ted not as much being on the shows, but I'm crazy when it comes to booking. Throw me out through the door, basically.
I've watched.
But you know what I was thinking, Ted? You made a very good point that you've got two kind of baby faces there, and I was thinking, could this have been Punk's moment, his bash at the beach, if you like, where they brought him out? Could be. And he brought you on a storyline about how thankful he was to be back and the fans and all this kind of thing. But then in true Punk style, would turn on the fans and say, yous were as big a part of the problem as Connecticut type of thing, and get them to fucking flood the ring with cans and shit and all sorts of stuff, and have that kind of Hogan turn bash at the beach kind of moment.
When he came out with the last place I wrestled was it was Ring of Honor in 2005. I don't know. Do you remember? It wasn't that particular match, but in Ring of Honor he did a promo where he came out very similar to this. He was the baby face. He just won their world title, and then he came out and he was like, there was the old man with the snake, and there's a parable. I was like, he's Punk's going heel here, isn't he? Now he didn't, but I think you're right. I think somebody has to turn heel here. And I wouldn't be surprised to see it be Punk.
Me neither. And he could do it in the match, as he said. You don't want to blow your load on the whole show, but he could do it on the match. Just something simple like turning on Sting or something. You know what I mean? Wrapping a baseball bat around Sting's head.
But even last night he was so giveish to the fans. He was hugging everyone around ringside. He dived into the crowd. He did all this kind of stuff. He hammed it up so much that I thought there's definitely a swerve coming here, because Darby's such a babyface. He's so over. I was thinking all he has to do is go into the ring and just pin his problems on this crowd, and there will be a riot, and it will be quality. I just thought it would have blown it off the Richter totally, because even the way he came out and he was prancing around, and the arms out, I'm back, and all this kind of thing, and you know what I mean? And he looked so excited and so emotional. And then I was waiting for maybe either that he dropped down on his ass and turn around and just turn on them like that and go, fuck yous, basically, you know what I mean? And
I think that will happen. That will happen.
Yeah.
But,
I think they needed to save that. That could be the Dynamite thing. Yeah. Do you do that on Rampage, or do you keep that for Dynamite maybe?
Yeah. Or do you keep that for the pay-per-view? You know what I mean?
When the music hit, lads, when it first hit, were you convinced, or were you like, MJF or something is coming out here, isn't he? I was convinced MJF was going to walk out in Punk gear or something.
I lost those seconds in time, were kind of frozen for me. I was like, right, it's saying CM Punk here, but I was thinking, imagine it was MJF or an Omega, Imagine how more Omega would have got over as a heel if he'd have come out and said that Punk's not here tonight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With Don Callis.
Yeah, do a Heyman job in it. Where he come out as a good personality and go, you ain't here.
I think he
used to do it. Do you remember the way, even the way the Raw after the Survivor Series when Michaels brought the midget Brett out and all.
Yeah.
Like, I thought there was something. So I held me kind of shocked until I actually saw him physically.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think they were going to do that, and then they realized everyone is expecting us to do that swerve because they're so used to WWE doing this swerve of, there's the music, it's not actually him, and then he'll run out later. And I think they were like, that's what everyone's expecting from us now. So
I think Tony Khan wanted to literally unleash his new toy, and this isn't a new toy for Tony Khan. I mean, this is your whole fucking franchise that can be built around this guy. He's still only 42. We look at Jericho still going strong at 50. Punk has had, as much as he's been out of the ring for a long time, he's had a lot of healing time as well. You know what I mean? Both mentally and physically. And
he looks healthy. As I said, he does look aged, but I mean, who doesn't look aged after who doesn't look aged after 7 years? You're gonna age in 7 years. The only people that don't look aged after 7 years are kind of in that mid 20s to early 30s because you kind of look the same throughout that period. After that, it's all
especially moving to an MMA career. I mean, that's gonna age you.
Yeah,
of course, getting the head kicked off you every day in training.
Yeah, no, I'm delighted to see him back. Like, I am a huge Punk fan, and always have been back from when he was in NXT, and he had the old straight edge T-shirt with the cards on it.
Yeah.
Even from then, I was like, this lad is going to be something special, and I love this stuff.
ECW,
Yeah, I hadn't seen his stuff on the indies before that, but from then I'd looked it up and I loved some of his stuff on the indies and stuff. Like, I was a huge fan of his. Yeah. And I was worried when he came back here. I was like, is he going to come back? And it's just like, if he comes back and it doesn't hit, it's going to be such a letdown. Now, I was convinced it would hit, but I was like, if he comes back and it doesn't hit, what am I going to do? And
you know what? Even though it was Chicago, I think that could have been in Bray, County Wicklow.
Didn't matter where. Yeah, didn't matter.
What I'm saying is they have a franchise player now with another one to follow soon, obviously with Bryan Danielson. And it's kind of cool that they're kind of spacing those two kind of things out and keeping them separate. And they've been pushing, SmackDown and Raw and the ratings as well recently too. So like, it's legit competition now with him in there. And I think I suppose all the wrestling fans benefit from this. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
All the wrestling fans benefit from this. I mean, I watched most of the show afterwards, but like, I wasn't really thinking about it. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, well, you can't really top that.
Honestly, once Punk finished, that show may as well have just gone off the air. It's not the shit on the people on the show.
No,
but honestly, Punk left, and I watched the rest of that show. It's only an hour. I was like, I may as well stay up for the rest of it. But I was like, I don't care anything.
Isn't that now the reality of the problem that AEW faces now in terms of bringing in these guys? That they moved the needle, but in true Bischoff style, when he moved the needle, he sustained the moving of the needle through his booking and the things he did. And I suppose the thing we have to look towards now is, have AEW got the talent and the nous and the ability to,
Let me answer that for you.
You're going to come in terms of making sure that, I suppose, these big guys that are coming in now, the likes of Punk and Bryan and stuff like that, have they got the ability to deliver on the promises that they made to get these guys in the door in terms of how they're going to book and stuff like that? I know these guys will have a lot of creative control and stuff like that, obviously, as well. But I just think, as you said, Ted, we're starting out on this road now with Darby Allin, which I think is a very safe move for AEW.
It's safe, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
that's a good thing as well, I think, going safe sometimes. I think the answer that they definitely have the talent now, and I think if you look throughout the roster, they've got a lot of big players there now. You've got Omega, who's getting over and over more and more as a heel. You've still got Jericho and MJF there. There's a lot to come from MJF, you know what I mean? Jericho still has a lot to offer. Then you're bringing Bryan Danielson in. You've got 4 to 5 different storylines that can be played throughout a show there to keep that scope.
Hangman Page when he gets back as well.
Hangman Page, Cody. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Cody, they've sadly booked themselves into a bit of a predicament with that guy from the first show.
Yeah, but that can always like WWE, that can always be rectified. You know what I mean?
You can unravel that.
Yeah, I know, but they've kind of booked themselves into a little bit of it. Like, you know, when you're looking at the moment, you're looking at Kenny Omega and you're like, right, his current challenger is Christian, which is fine. You expect him to go past Christian and then it'll be on to someone new. And you'd be thinking to yourself, well, Cody is someone that should be challenging for that belt. But currently he can't. And you're like, you can't let Punk challenge, because if Punk challenges, Punk has to win.
Well, you see, this is what I'm saying. Like, you've got now a couple of months storyline, because obviously, like I said, the pieces that they have in that team now are absolutely perfect to keep a 2-3 hour show interesting, with enough kind of big storylines, and they've enough on their roster now, not too much. I mean, they have a lot of guys that they bring in and out, and they're kind of squash jobs sometimes as well, which I like. Kind of is a throwback to WCW days and when WWE was good. But I think with the likes of, the Cody, as I said, that could be unraveled easily. Like, if someone like a Punk was the champion, he'd be like, listen, forget about that stipulation. I want the best to challenge me. So Cody, as far as I'm concerned, that's why you've got a shot. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Yeah, they can get over it, but just for the last, like, before now, they had hamstringed themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
Which I know what they were doing then. They were trying to be like, yeah, me, Omega, and the Young Bucks are we're the bookers. But look, we're not taking over the show, and we're not just booking this to give ourselves all the titles. We're not doing that. And I know that's what they were going for back then. But I think they just didn't, like, it should have been, Cody can't challenge for the title for a year or something like that. It shouldn't have been like, you can never challenge for the world title. I think that was a little bit of a mistake, and that was a teething problem. Or maybe Cody is just one of those guys that is happy to never win that world championship in AEW. Maybe he's happy with that.
I'd say it'll be the Tommy Dreamer type moment. You know what I mean? That when it happens,
but he might be happy enough to be the one that started this promotion to rival WWE or to be an alternative. He might be happy with that being his legacy. Like,
yeah, I don't think so. But look, you could be right. I don't
think he's sort of vain enough to be like, I need to be the champion sort of guy. I don't get that from Cody.
Yeah.
Cody, he feels he has to.
Cody, because of his legacy and his upbringing and his work, he'll know when the time is right to get that belt.
Yeah,
and he'll time it perfectly. The one question I have for Bodie is, and Ted, you raised a very good point earlier when you spoke about the show could have ended at the end of Punk's promo.
Yeah.
Going forward, when you bring in guys at this level, the likes of Punk, we know Punk and Bryan Danielson, like, they're tiers, in terms of their stardom, right? Is there a danger bringing these guys in? If you take, for instance, the All Out pay-per-view, is the crowd going to be just pining for the Bryan Danielson match and the CM Punk match, and everything else is going to come across as filler? Or do we see a crowd that will still say emotionally invested in the likes of the guys that we like in there, the Jungle Bucks, Jungle Boy, the MJFs, all these kind of guys? Or are they going to suddenly become secondary in the wash, and everything is going to be Bryan Danielson chance and CM Punk chance? And, are the crowd going to be able to take a step back and go, there's a lot of structure to the foundation of this, and it just so happens that maybe Bryan Danielson and CM Punk and maybe Kenny Omega are like the spear tip of this thing, along with Jericho maybe. But is the rest going to keep you there? You know what I mean? In terms of,
I think so. No, yeah, I think it'll be fine, because I think what you're getting now is, like, when they're looking at the demographic as well, you're getting a lot of old Southern wrestling fans taking an interest again, and. Like, this happened with WCW as well, like, and it happens with WWE. Cena will come back, and that's all people are interested in seeing for that first few weeks. But then they get used to them being there. But they'll stay at that level of popularity, but they'll still be able to. But because it's new, obviously the most anticipated thing they're gonna want to see is obviously Punk in the ring. But I think a lot of these wrestling fans are kind of proper diehard fans. You know what I mean? The ones that kind of feel that they've been let down by WWE and stuff, and that's a lot of the old fans are coming back.
Yeah,
because of that. So.
Yeah, it's just that the Jungle Boys of this world and the MJFs and guys like that, they have worked so hard to arrive at where they are now in AEW, because it could have fell flat in its face in terms of those guys. And I think they've done a stellar job. I mean, I'm sure we're all Jungle Boy fans. He's absolutely brilliant, and the music and the whole thing, it's brilliant,
Well, that's a stroke of genius. The music, actually just buying the license for it. That is something that's a stroke of genius. Go out and get something like that.
But again,
it's the same with Ambrose, even the Wild thing. Did anyone else notice last night how blown up does Ambrose look?
Yeah.
He's like a gorilla going around, isn't he? He's filled out, but I actually liked his intensity last night on that show. He actually got a wrestling match out of him, and his intensity was absolutely incredible. So I think what this is going to do is it's going to make these guys step up as well. Like, Ambrose, you're not now the star that we got from WWE anymore. Yeah. So, if you're happy to keep doing all that bullshit, street fighting matches and all that, you're just going to be lost in the shuffle.
Well, it's kind of as well like a throwback to the old school as well, isn't it? Where everyone wanted to have the golden ticket against Hogan in the storyline. Now there's going to be guys in there who are going to want to step up, and when they're asked, going, look, I want to be in there with Punk, or I want to be in there with Bryan Danielson. So this is the golden ticket in there as well. This is the storylines to be involved in. You know what I mean? So they're all going to step up their game.
And anyone heard the rumor as well about just I suppose we should close the show with Noel a little bit about SummerSlam, obviously, tonight, because
you're going to have to hit it out of the park, aren't you, after that?
Yeah, a lot of people are wanting, some sort of, Balor appearance in some sort of way because his name was on the contract. Like, this is what fans are wanting. So if Vince is actually listening, it'd be high time that he looks at that, because if you look at the likes of Balor now, he's going to be looking the opposite way, going, I'm a pro wrestler. I want to be in a locker room with these guys. Do you know what I mean? I want to be able to go to New Japan and do my shows and do less, especially he's 40 now. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to be happy now to just get thrown to Roman Reigns and then that's it. You're back to the mid-card smiling white meat babyface. Yeah.
He's been having a lot more interaction with the likes of Tama Tonga and stuff recently. I've noticed on the likes of social medias. He's been interacting with them a lot. Now, I'm not saying that that's him saying, I want out. But I think he knows that, Vince, don't think I don't have somewhere else to go.
Yeah, but the one thing we know. The one thing we know.
Sorry, Noel.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
Sorry, that's my fault. It was a delay on.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut across you, boys. No, I was saying that's one thing. If you look at someone like a Balor, right, because he's a wrestler, right, and his background is the indie scene and New Japan and stuff like that. He would be chomping at the bit to be in there working with guys like a CM Punk who he's never worked before, or a Bryan Danielson, or a Kenny Omega who we know he has a relationship with. But he'd be looking at those guys going, "This is I'd be a star there. I'd be world championship level material over there." So,
and when you're talking, Kenny Omega is the leader of the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Not if somebody else gets out of a contract. Now, I'm not saying he wants out with a contract. I'm sure.
No,
I'm sure he's perfectly happy with the money he's making, and depending on the promises he's made about where he's going to be on the card and stuff, I'm sure he'll stay. But he's definitely letting Vince know, Vince, you're not my only ticket. I know a lot of other people in this business, and they're all happy for me to go back to them.
Adam Cole as well is another one. Niall's favorite.
Cole is. Me and Niall were actually talking about this just before the show. I don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Does he stay with WWE and have, two, an income from each company? Or does he go to AEW and put all their eggs in that basket?
Yeah, I suppose 2 points on that. One, with Balor, you mentioned about him, on social media. We know that Finn Balor is the greatest at working the internet.
Oh, yeah, he's a worker's worker,
he's
isn't he?
Absolutely brilliant. He's the work as we talk inside the work at times,
Yeah.
I think
exception, that lad.
I think he's quite happy in terms of being fed to people, so long as he knows what the payoff is 2 or 3 months down the line. I think he's quite happy to work those programs to be looking a little bit lesser when he knows where he's going to arrive at, which is way, way bigger and stuff like that. And I think the caveat for him as well is, I know there's a lot of exceptional stuff he could do in AEW, but let's be honest, he can do exceptional stuff no matter where he is. He's done exceptional stuff for years down in the Wolftown Centre. So forget about the surroundings. He's just an amazing wrestler, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I think there's no doubt. I think with Adam Cole as well, I think he will re-sign, because the one thing I notice about Adam Cole as well is he's a very safe bet. You know what I mean? He's not that guy to, create that kind of earthquake in his surroundings. He's very relaxed. You can see in the way he does his interviews and all, he's a very calming force in terms of the way he does things. He's very calculated. I'm sure Vince, when he had that meet with him at SmackDown, I'm sure Adam Cole got Vince to agree to anything that he wanted, more or less. And I think, in fairness to Adam Cole, I don't think he's unhappy where he is. I think he's had a great ride in NXT. They've made him look $1 million. He's been booked as a superstar. Working with H down there and building that brand, he was integral to it. Shawn Michaels and guys like that, I'd be surprised if he moved.
But it depends what they do with him on the main roster, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see naturally in WWE over the next 6 to 12 months a very changing of the guard on the main roster in the way that they do things. They are going to have to react to our friends in Jacksonville. There's no doubt about it. They are going to have to accept that competition is there now, and they're going to have to figure out what to do. And the needle movers tonight really in SummerSlam is how they handle Lashley and Goldberg. It's going to be very interesting. The women's one, we know what we're going to get in both matches. They're going to be stellar. There's no doubt about it. They always put on a great performance. And then obviously what role Balor has tonight potentially in the pay-per-view, what comes out of that. We spoke about many variations on that. Is he going to go into a storyline with John Cena, which I think would be electric because of the background we know of his fandom of John Cena and stuff like that. Gives us an extra dimension in it.
Yeah, I think his neck dropped.
No. I'm back.
Sorry.
I was talking there about Balor's fandom of sort of John Cena. So if he goes into a storyline with him, I think that would be really cool. Again, if he goes into a storyline with Reigns, I think that would be really cool. Ian, we've often spoken about closing that circle that he left open in terms of the Universal Belt. And then the other option is if he potentially becomes part of the tribe, if you like, you know what I mean? There's so many different dimensions to how this could go. But yeah, Ted, I think you're spot on. They have to blow it out of the water tonight without a shadow of a doubt.
I think what Ted was saying, he made a really good point there. I don't think it hurts like Reigns because Reigns will cheat to win anyway. We know that he's a bastard heel. I think you could kind of kill two birds with one stone. This is what I'm thinking, because Cena kind of fucked over Balor with the contract signing a contract that didn't have his name on it. I think you could potentially kill two birds with one stone here, where you Balor coming out and costing Cena the match, and then going into something with him and Cena potentially at Mania or whatever down the line anyway, somewhere. You know what I mean? It could even be the next big pay-per-view. So there's lots of those kind of rumors going around. I mean, I like the idea of that. You know what I mean? I think it'd be great. And I don't think Cena would be the type that would have any problem putting someone like Balor over to help him.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. And I mean, something like that, like you said, Ted, that would kind of rock the foundations, wouldn't it? Something that you didn't expect. Like,
yeah. No, see, I think that Balor is going to he's going to come out after that match. I think Reigns he's going to beat Cena clean here, because Cena has a lot in the works. Like, obviously he's just been in the Suicide Squad. They're making their own show off the back of the character he had in the Suicide Squad. So he's busy in Hollywood. Like, he's not going to be the world champion, and it's not time for Reigns to lose it. And it's definitely not time for him to lose it to Cena. Now, the only thing that would worry me is that Flair has now left, and are they going to go, let's just have Cena beat Flair's record? That is a worry to me, because I think that's something WWE would do, but I think that will then hurt Reigns' entire gimmick, because Reigns can't afford to lose at the moment. And as much as it annoyed me when Balor was taken out of this match, I think this might be a good thing in the long run for Balor to have come out of this match, because it now means he doesn't need to lose to Reigns. He hasn't lost any momentum. And once Reigns goes past Cena, it's like, well, maybe it's time for Reigns to now lose the title. And, it's given, like, Balor will go and beat Corbin because Corbin got involved in the whole thing. He'll go and have a match there. He'll beat Corbin. It'll be another win under his belt over a guy who is considered quite a big star. And it'll let him keep building himself up to then be the one to come and finally close this circle with Reigns. And he could be the one to finally dethrone him. Whereas if it had been Balor versus Reigns here, I didn't think Balor was going to beat Reigns. I don't think anyone's beating Reigns for another couple of months. So I'm kind of glad that Balor isn't being fed to him here. I'd much rather wait 6 months and have Balor face him then, and then be like, yeah, this might go the way of Balor here.
Well, I'm actually more thinking. I'm thinking Cena Balor at Mania. To be fair, and
I would love that as well. Yeah, I'd love that.
Reigns. That's what I'm thinking. They might put the plant the seeds, sow the seeds for that. Because we know we're 90% sure that WWE will and now need to go all out. No pun intended.
Yeah, they do need to go out. Do
and
big tonight.
They need the Rock then for Mania for Reigns. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way they're looking at it. So it's it's intriguing. It's intriguing.
Does he need to beat the Rock? Does he need to beat the Rock at WrestleMania?
I think so. Yeah,
I think he needs to.
Yeah, I think having the Rock come back and beat him would be kind of senseless, wouldn't it?
But once he beats the Rock, that's when I think the reign is over, isn't it? Like somebody then has to come in and be the one to eventually beat him.
Yeah.
I suppose it depends what way you look at it. I mean, you're looking if they go down the storyline of Reigns versus Rock for Mania, who's the tribal chief, the head of the table, if you like. It may not require the belt to be on the line.
True.
The match might be so magnified that like the title is irrelevant to it. It may not need it, you know. Whereas
this is true.
True.
Yeah. So you could take the title off him beforehand, Noel. Yeah.
So
makes sense.
So I'm thinking if you did have Balor versus Cena, and Cena with the belt. I mean, just because Cena has the belt, maybe they're going to go old school in a way that the champion isn't there every week.
Goes away.
And it develops that want again for us. And I think if you did go Balor Cena Mania main event for the belt, imagine how amazing it would be for Finn Balor in the main event at WrestleMania, 110,000 people in the AT&T Stadium, winning the belt off John Cena and closing that Universal title circle would be absolutely. Say what you want about going to AEW and facing CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, but to stand in that ring, 110,000 people strong, millions around the world watching, to beat Cena for the belt and close off that loop that was brought on him by injury. That to me is the most romantic storyline you could probably sell in wrestling at the moment.
Noel, I think you've even got Finley Martin there chomping at the bit somewhere. Going, I like it, Noel. I like it.
Yeah, I just think that would be, in terms of a story, in terms of everyone knows his respect for John Cena. Obviously, the respect is mutual, of course, in terms of Finn Balor. But to have gone through that injury and a number of injuries and to come back and to work his way back onto the show, to go back down to NXT, to work his way for 2 years or whatever it was on that show, giving us main event after stellar match after stellar match, all of them 5 stars or more, and then to come back up onto the main roster and like with something to prove, to chase down what we would regard as his belt. He was the first champion, so it's his belt. To close it out like that against John Cena, AEW would have a serious task on their hands to match that, and certainly from an emotional point of view for me, I would definitely be a wreck and I will be in that stadium. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Sometimes I feel though that with stuff like this we end up booking ourselves into this fantasy thing where we're like, this could happen, and then it doesn't happen, and you're like, that was shit.
Yeah, this you could have tonight where Reigns just beats Cena in 3 minutes, clean batters him, and Balor doesn't even come out, and we're all going, did you guys not even see Rampage last night? What are you doing?
I think that 3 minute beating is coming somewhere, but I think it's the other title match. I think Goldberg is getting squashed by Lashley tonight. I think he's getting squashed out of it.
Even with the Saudi show on the horizon, Ted.
Yeah, I think he's getting squashed out of it here. Yeah. I think this is it.
I think they're love for
left on his contract. Yeah. After tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think their love. I think their love for Goldberg in the Saudi show is way bigger than their love for Bobby Lashley. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, but I think you can have Goldberg just go out and squash somebody on the Saudi show and they'll be happy anyway. He doesn't need the title on him, does he? Like when he did it to Ziggler, that was seriously some of the funniest shit I've ever seen.
I suppose the other thing we didn't mention Brock.
Yeah, still to come back. Is that the like where does he come back? Is he gonna come back and try and get Heyman back to him from Reigns?
There's a surprise tonight that nobody's talked about.
Becky.
That could be huge, right? Well, it would be huge. Not could be. It would be huge.
Massive.
Yeah.
They're definitely giving us something tonight because you couldn't have watched that last night and watched the ratings. They can go on about not wanting ratings or not caring about ratings anymore. That's all hogwash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is no way in the world that, as Ted so rightly put it, the hottest free agent, of the last 7 years, and probably the hottest free agent of all time, let's be real, goes over and fucking basically blasts them in no uncertain term. And they're just going to give us a regular run-of-the-mill SummerSlam tonight without any big surprise.
Is there anyone out there that's not already contracted to them that could be the big surprise tonight? Is there any name big enough out there that could do it?
Not really, because they're all even the Japan boys. I mean, even Okada isn't big enough really, and plus he's
exactly.
Contracted.
He Okada is, he's brilliant and everything.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Okada does not have the name value to come into WWE. And people can dislike that all they want. American audiences do not know Okada.
The only other thing you'd be thinking for tonight is if they spring the Rock early.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I love Becky and everything, but is Becky a big enough one to pop against Punk, or do you save her pop so you're not trying to have this comparison of Punk's pop to Becky's pop?
Well,
that's fair.
I don't think it'll be that comparable, because I think what happens tonight is if they are going to move the needle, you're going to get a number of them. Don't be surprised if you get Becky back. Don't be surprised if Brock arrives back. Don't be surprised if Vince rolls out, The Rock rolls out all the big guns and goes 2 fingers straight to Tony Khan. Go, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
I've got it for Jay Kennedy. I've got it.
Hulk Hogan.
He's one more title run in him. Let's bring out Hogan.
Hogan versus Goldberg at Saudi Arabia for the belt.
Yes. Let's do it.
Is there anyone out there that isn't a normal name that you can even fathom being this could be someone brought in?
I think there's 3 possibilities, like you said, Ted. Either Balor has a hand in something and rocks the apple cart, right? If we're looking at free agents, I think Niall's right. They could make this monumental by having a couple of comebacks. Becky could be one on the girls' side of things. And then realistically, he'd have to roll out Brock or The Rock.
Yeah. And you can't call anyone up from NXT because sure, NXT is the next night. So you they still have to be there on NXT the next night. Yeah. And you ruin NXT if you call them up tonight.
Yeah, but even if you called, I mean, there's no one down on NXT at the moment that's going to move that CM Punk needle.
No, but I'm saying, even if you think about in addition to the likes of Becky and somebody else coming back, Joe's just gone back to NXT. There's no way they're going to move him.
Well, it could be maybe Adam Cole,
but then that gives away the Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly finish, doesn't it? If Cole's come up to the main roster, you're kind of then going, but I think he's hardly going to win down there.
Well, I think people already know that, Ted, don't they? That if Adam Cole's resigning, he's going to SmackDown, I presume, or whatever,
They do, but I don't think, WWE would want to be let's just give away tomorrow night's result straight off the bat by having them come up to. Maybe they don't care.
Ted, I'd say they're more focused on hitting the ball out of the park with SummerSlam than they're worried about NXT tomorrow night. Because to be honest with you, if this just rolls out tonight as the normal typical show that they roll out, NXT tomorrow night's not really going to matter because it's kind of going to be in the gutter anyway, isn't it? People are going to be very disappointed.
I've talked to a lot of wrestling fans today, and they're actually not even. They're already talking about Dynamite next week.
Yeah, they're all buzzing. Although I just want to ask you, Ian, that picture I sent you this morning from AEW, what did you think of that fan's sign?
Terrible.
couldn't even get the wording right before hooker. The best there was, the best there is, the best in the world.
Yeah.
Come on, dude, use the internet. Look up the actual saying, please.
It was just ridiculous, wasn't it? No, look, I thought it was great. I think it's a great way to close the show, kind of talking about SummerSlam. That's why I brought it up, because I'm
buzzing for it tonight. Tonight.
Me too. And I know Noel is as well. People think I've all of a sudden just moved my allegiance from WWE to AEW. The question is, people, where was my allegiance to WWE to begin with? I'm a WCW guy.
Well, I suppose the thing about us as fans is we want 2 brilliant promotions, don't we, going head to head. You know,
I love WWE, and I love that, SmackDown as I love what they've done with the likes of Roman Reigns and Cena and stuff like that. I thought that was great last night, seeing it finishing with a roll up and going out and going 1, 2, 3. So yeah, roll on tonight, lads. Roll on tonight.
I can't wait for it tonight. Like, I'm so happy that this is a Saturday night as well. I know normally we'd get the NXT on the Saturday night and then the main pay-per-view on the Sunday. I would much rather stay up for the main pay-per-view, like SummerSlam and WrestleMania is on a... Well, I know WrestleMania is now 2 nights anyway, but the Royal Rumble, the SummerSlams, the Survivor Series, like these, even Money in the Bank and stuff, I would much rather stay up for them on the Saturday night than, try and stay up the Sunday and either be tired and work the next day or try and book the day off work the next day. This is so much better to me. And I know this wasn't their decision. This was the decision of the building that they have SummerSlam in, saying you just can't have it Sunday night. I know it wasn't WWE's decision, but I'm hoping that this is something that they decide with going forward. Yeah, Saturday night is a way better night for us to have the pay-per-views. Let's just do it then.
I think to finish out, I think tonight is the night where we find out if Vince actually really truly cares anymore.
Yeah, if nothing happens tonight, it's a real just, I don't care. I know I'm the biggest promotion, and I'm not even going to pretend that the others are trying to come up at me.
If nothing happens tonight, don't be surprised at next week's Dynamite opening up with Triple H.
Imagine.
You were right all along, Phil. You were right all along. I told you, Paul. I told you.
Oh, imagine if Shane came out. What would Punk do? Imagine if Shane came out. Good Lord. And it was a big plan by Tony Khan and Vince to get Punk back on the multi-year contract, working for Vince directly. Oh my God.
And that contract you signed, it's actually a WWE contract. Off you go.
Paul Heyman, imagine Paul Heyman coming out and he rips off the mask and it's Shane. Like Scooby-Doo style or something like that. I know I've gone mad again on the book. Sorry.
Now we're gone mad. That's my fault. This time.
Old Finley Martin's looking back and he's like, there's the Niall I was expecting.
Thanks, Finn. Man, until next time, absolute pleasure. This has been your AEW Rampage review and probably a lead into SummerSlam as well. As always, if you want to contact the show, drop your comments into the video if you like. Always hit us with a like as well. Helps us grow the community. If you want to contact us on Twitter, @TPodmen. If you want to contact us on Facebook or Instagram, the 4Podmen. We will chat again real soon, boys. CM Punk is back.